make it easy for the applicant tracking systems. The other thing too, like the next question that people always ask about are like keywords, right? Like what keywords? Good question. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't program the applicant tracking systems. I'll tell you like what I hear is like to look in the roles and responsibilities of the job post, job summary, and there's like paragraphs of text that nobody ever reads. But read it and look to see if they use a certain type of word like frequently that you can use as a keyword. For example, like mentor, leader, assess, plan, implement, right? Like you'll see like these phrases that keep popping up, and then see if you can incorporate that. And like the reason why I like doing that is, again, like thinking logically, like if they're not choosing that keyword from their job summary or role or responsibility, what keyword are they going to choose? Like, are they just going to like make up stuff? Like, maybe. And even if that were true, then like you can't optimize for that. So like there's no point in spending a lot of time on that. But what you'll find is that when you look at the keywords and the roles and responsibilities in the job summary and stuff, it turns out it's all the keywords that you would expect to translate to a good nurse anyway, right? Like leadership, mentor, or whatever. So it ends up all being the same. So just like if you don't want to go through that trouble, you can think in your head like if I could describe a really good nurse in 10 adjectives, what would that be? And then just use those keywords to describe yourself, if it's true. Don't lie. Yeah, don't ever lie on a resume or interview, because we'll find out, and then it's really embarrassing and you can. If there's one thing in the world that nurses can spot, it's liars, and so like that's like my biggest advice to you is like don't BS. Like I know like the scariest words in the entire English language are I don't know, but like get used to it, because if you don't, then you're like not only a liar, but you're a huge liability in the hospital. So get used to saying those words, say it frequently, say it to people that you're afraid of, I don't know, and you'd be amazed at like where life will take you if you embrace that fact. Applicant tracking system, that's the first thing, right? People spend a lot of time researching that, like keywords, like what do I do, where, like all that stuff, right? But then you forget like the next phases of the resume. And the next phase is a human resources person, right? And it's a human being, and they are going to read your resume, and they're going to decide whether or not you meet the minimum qualifications, and then they'll push you to the hiring manager, like the director of the new grad program or whatever. And like this is important because I learned from a recruiter friend. This is true for experienced nurses. I don't know if it's true for new grad, but I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. But according to her, there's a California law that says like if a candidate meets the minimum qualifications by law, they have to push you to like a hiring manager, and that's due to like anti-discrimination laws. Like they can't just say like, oh, I don't like your name. Like no. So if they meet the minimum qualifications, then you go to the next step. And the reason why that's important, I'll touch on later. So after the human resources person, then you're going to get to a hiring manager, like I said, and then they're going to decide whether or not to interview you. So applicant tracking system, and then 2 human beings. And the reason why this is important is because the ultimate deciding factor is a human being. And then so if you spend all this time jamming keywords like assess, plan, implement, standards of care based on the scope of practice of like a registered nurse, or yeah, right, like this is very common, but like ask yourself again, like, is that bullet point unique to you? Is it special? Does it do anything to describe like who you are, other than the fact that like you can read keywords? Maybe not. And then so like one of the bullet points, or like the way I strive to get all of my bullet points, is that each bullet point is a specific action that was part of my role or responsibility, and if possible, something that led to a quantifiable result. And so like, what does that mean? For me, you can see it in my profile, you can see all the bullet points. One example, in the OR, I built an automatic spreadsheet that calculated the on-call requirements for all of our staff. Mertz is laughing because she hates it. But it was better than the one before, I swear. So like it automatically calculated like the on-call requirements for all the staff, and that action saved the managers hours of admin time like every week, because they would have to manually like do it before. And so that was the action, and then the quantifiable result was saving my manager's admin hours. And the reason why the reason why I put that in resumes is because who's reading the thing on the other end of this resume in admin, right? And if you're in admin and you saw somebody that on their spare time saved me a bunch of hours, I'd want to talk to that person, right? And so like, again, know your audience, and then think about the end goal. The end goal is to get an interview. And so like, you guys don't have a lot of experience, maybe you do from like a second career or whatever, so like it's tough, like I get it, right? It's tough to come up with like really cool bullet points like that, but you can find them if you just dig deep. And then so, I know you guys have like a year left, some of you have a year left, so one of the things is like, that'll help you is in this time, up until when you graduate, record the data for everything that you do. Like if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get improved. And so like anytime you're doing a project, like think about the metrics. Like what are you trying to improve? What's the time frame? Did you accomplish that? Like what's next, right? You're gonna hear this kind of framework all throughout your career. So just get used to it now, and it'll make it a lot easier to write a resume if you have that data, versus like I get a lot of messages, hey Daniel, I have the application window is open in 24 hours, like, can you help? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, what kind of data do you have on all the projects that you've done, like, your jobs, like, did the sales increase? Did you get any customer service awards? Like, what was your, Yelp review, like, anything, like how many people applied to that scholarship and how many people got it? Like, that's another thing, like, in the awards and scholarship sections, like, people would just say, like, President's Scholarship. And it's like, okay, if I'm looking at that, the only information that you can possibly get from that is that you got some kind of a scholarship. And like, that may be beneficial to you, but like, what if it was actually like, the scholarship was awarded for one person and 5,000 people applied, and I got it for like extraordinary like community involvement or whatever, like saying that like tells a totally different picture about the candidate on the resume versus just saying scholarship. And then this is the kind of stuff that the compromises that people make is they'll just say like scholarship or like whatever award or community involvement, and then they won't put any other bullet points because they want to save space. So like they're trying to keep it down to the 1 page or the 2 pages. But then I see all these bullet points that's like assisted with activities of daily living, like all the generic like keyword stuff, and I'm like, wait, like why did you make such a huge compromise to like jam the keywords? And a lot of that is just because like, oh, I thought that it was supposed to be 1 page. I thought it was supposed to be like whatever. And so again, I don't know if that's true, but I do know that I've recommended 2-page resumes for my new grads, and it's worked for them. Like I've helped people get into all of the hospitals that like you're going to apply to. So like, it works for them. Would it have worked without my help? I can't tell you that, right? But so that's the information that I have, and so like you can take that advice and run with it or ignore it, and you might be okay. So the other thing too, that like the other like really dangerous behavior, I don't mean dangerous in the literal sense, but like in the I'm never gonna get a job sense, that I see is like using resume templates like they're gospel, like they're the